This is where the gaslighting gets really good.
My nickname around these parts is Dead Weight.
I haven't been considering scissor.
I'm prepared to travel in time.
We were deep into an Adam Sandler rabbit hole in this podcast. How did that happen? A lifetime of Hallmark.
Well, hello, everybody. It is your favorite day of the week. It is time for another episode of A Lifetime of Hallmark, where we talk about your favorite movies on both Lifetime and the Hallmark channel and try to make sense of them. I am your host, Les Kirkendall Barrett. Hello, Jason Bowers.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett.
And hello, Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett, and hello, Jason Bowers.
Okay, so we have seen some boring movies on this channel.
I love that, like, just your first word was, okay. Like, we could hear the disdain in your voice.
Exasperation. This is Lacey's big swing. That's what we can call this.
Lacey Chabert,
yes.
Hallmark, Sweet Carolina is the name of the movie.
Did Lacey Chabert jump the shark?
No.
I think she swung her weight around and she wanted some deeper themes.
And I'm okay with that.
What's that?
I'm okay with that.
Wait.
Well,
good.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm not.
Oh, I love movies like On Golden Pond or movies like that. If On Golden Pond was around today, that would be a Hallmark movie. It would.
Like, that's a very, very big cast to get for a Hallmark movie.
Well, okay.
Katharine
if
Hepburn
it was
is...
a broke.
Okay.
Well, or Jack Hay, as you know,
she's today's Katharine Hepburn,
right?
Yes, she is.
So yeah. This and the thing is, and I think I was extra ruined because last week we saw Stalked by My Doctor on Lifetime, and that just was so bonkers that like my expectations are up high. And then we see this, and I'm like, how dare you, Lacey? Lacey, you're better than that.
I don't think my expectations were high because we watched a fun Lifetime movie. I think my expectations were high because even in a bad movie, Lacey's always just likable. So I was like, how bad could it really be? Like, that raised the bar for me.
I thought this was going to be a fun movie, a fun, fluffy Hallmark movie. That's what I came to see. And there's people dying right in the beginning, and everybody is having a horrible time. I don't need this. Hey, Lacey, we don't need this shit.
And the thing is, it says in the premise, about like she takes over for her orphaned niece and nephew, but we've seen this before. We've seen this a lot.
That would have been fun. Like, beyond the fact that it was just really boring. The central romance of the movie, there was no romance. There was none of that like BS dance that they do of like, are they gonna get together? Oh, they should be together. Oh, and then they end up together. There was none of that. It was almost like they threw in the romantic, the love interest at the last minute after the script was written and sort of jammed it in there. It like that. If that relationship weren't in the movie, I actually think it would have been a better film.
Right. And then the thing is, and so they throw in this twist. You know how they always have a comedy of errors? Well, they throw in their twist, but the twist was like nothing happened. So I
don't even remember what the twist was.
What twist?
Was the twist that we thought it was going to be good and then it wasn't?
No. You know what? Spoiler alert. Close your ears, everyone, if you don't want it spoiled. When she thought the guy was going to propose.
Oh, no, I didn't think he was.
But then that didn't make any... Well, you know what I mean. But that didn't make any sense because since they hadn't done anything...
Right.
And they hadn't even dated, then it was like, why would you even think that
that's true.
When you haven't even been on a date with this guy?
Yeah, there
was just your friend.
There was literally no on-ramp to a relationship in this movie that
Right.
usually exists, at least in small part, in every other Hallmark movie.
Well, this was a sad group of people.
Yeah. Well, she
in the movie.
Right.
I don't mean us.
Right. Hey, you guys, I'm going to have to hold for 1 second.
Okay.
Where's he going? What's this whispering going on? Let's keep this on the show. I like this.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
I'm talking to my husband.
Okay, good.
I'm talking to my husband because we're going to West Hollywood after we finish. And so he's going to the gym. So I'm going to pick him up from the gym on my way to West Hollywood. And he was going to bring his bike. And I was like, what are you going to do with your bike? Because I'm picking you up.
Put it in the car.
So that's what that was about. Yeah, we're going to West
Another
Hollywood
twist
tonight. My cousin's in town.
Oh, where are you going? St. Felix?
Probably the Abbey, because she's from my two cousins are from like New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am going to take him to the Abbey since the Abbey is like world famous and everybody knows about the Abbey.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take him to the
I know it from the show.
Yeah.
Because Jason ate cake there. That's why I know the Abbey.
I did eat cake.
Yes. Which I mean, that is like the bravest thing I've ever heard, to eat cake at the Abbey. That's so brave to eat cake at the Abbey, because I can imagine all of the looks of judgment that were going around.
Yeah. And it was at 1 a.m, like, it was like 1 a.m. on like a Friday night or Saturday night.
Man.
Right.
So you're not going to work that off.
Yeah. So basically eating cake at the Abbey after sundown.
That could be an expression,
and
you ate cake at the Abbey.
I pointed out not to point out that I was eating desserts late into the night. I pointed out that this was a crowded nightclub on a weekend, like right in their like busiest time. People are on a dance floor to like, let me have some cake now.
I would have been like, oh, Jason, are you okay?
And were they and was it like, I guess nobody had already cut a piece of the cake. This must have been like the first time they ever actually cut a slice of this cake.
No, people eat cake at the Abbey all the time. It was probably unusual to get an order for it at 1 a.m, but they're a cafe during the day.
Yeah, during the day they're open during the day for like brunches. During the day you could bring the family, like you could bring kids and stuff during the day.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just can't eat cake. You can't eat cake after a certain time.
After
if you do, you'll damage your reputation for life.
Yes.
Or put it this way: when the go-go dancers show up, the cake goes away.
Well, the Go-Go's are back now at the Abbey, but they start later, and you can't like tip them directly. They have a little like tip bucket attached to the Go-Go stand now.
Yeah. No, I went. I saw the Go-Go dancers.
Okay.
And they're go-go dancing with masks.
Uh-huh.
Right.
This place knows how to stay in business. They're like a family lunch place, and then a go-go dancer place at night.
Oh yeah, they cater to everyone. It's great.
Well, speaking of go-go dancers, Kurt, do you have any Blac Chyna news?
Doing a piece of China.
China. I'm talking China.
The Blac Chyna Report. Here's Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Okay, we haven't had a news in a while, but Blac is back. Blac Chyna wants nothing to do with the legal battle involving claims her baby daddy Rob Kardashian threatened to hire a hitman to kill her former friend. According to court, we're going to get to that. Simmer down there. According to court documents obtained by Radar, the model is asking the court to dismiss her from the suit brought by Pilot Jones, a.k.a. Justin Jones. In the suit, Jones says he used to be close with Chyna. His relationship with her blew up when a photo of them kissing was published on Radar. Chyna, who was pregnant with Rob's daughter at the time, said Kardashian lost his mind after seeing the image. The former couple accused Jones of being the person who leaked the snap. Jones says Chyna and Kardashian started harassing him. She reportedly posted his private cell phone number to the millions of her followers. Kardashian sent him several texts threatening to employ a hitman to off him. His lawyer wrote, Kardashian's conduct involved multiple immediate death threats of harm by both Kardashian himself and by third parties that Kardashian indicated he would be hiring to maim and kill Jones on his behalf, even if he were to travel to Atlanta. I don't know what that has to do with anything. Stay out of Atlanta, Jones. All right, there can be no reasonable argument Kardashian's multiple there can be no reasonable argument Kardashian's multiple direct and graphic death threats to plaintiff are not the sort of extreme and outrageous he explained. One alleged text read, "I hope you religious, because after I beat your ass with about 30 Mexicans," I don't understand that. You better hope God lets you into heaven. He's going to beat his ass with 30 Mexicans? I don't understand that. Maybe he's going to get 30 Mexicans to beat his ass. Kardashian denied all allegations of wrongdoing. He asked the court to dismiss all claims against him because the texts weren't true threats. Chyna also asked the court to toss the lawsuit, claiming she didn't cause Jones any harm. Guess we could leave it at that. There's more to this, but that's pretty much the gist of it.
What is a true threat? It's either a threat or it's not.
Not true threats. You must be one of those legalities, I know they come up with these weird legal terms.
No, I think that's somebody trying to create a legality that doesn't actually exist in the law.
Right. People do that. I don't know. It's not a threat. It's a threat, but it's not a true threat.
I have several questions.
It's a rumor. Yes.
I have several questions. So what does ethnicity have to do with anything? Why Mexicans?
I don't understand that. They're going to beat them with Mexicans. The Mexicans are going to beat them. I don't know. That's what it says. This is from radar.com.
Who was the one that said that?
They say that was a text message. They said that,
Rob was saying that he was going to send Mexicans to beat him, or Pilot said that.
He said that Rob Kardashian sent him this.
Got it.
This is from radaronline.com. So just to let you know, that's my source.
Yeah.
So my first question is, why they got to be Mexican? Why?
Feature asked about 30 Mexicans. I don't know.
Any race could beat up someone. Why stereotype?
I have a theory as to why that was used, but I have a feeling if I explain the theory, it in of itself is going to sound racist, so I'm not even going to say it.
We don't want to get canceled.
No.
No.
But I have a theory as to why that was the threat. Yeah.
Well, since we're on a theme here, I actually have an apology or a retraction to make.
Okay.
Okay.
And now, the Les Apology Report. Here's Les Kirkendall Barrett.
You can apologize for okay.
And it's not.
Go ahead.
It's not necessarily an apology per se.
Backpedaling already,
I don't know
huh?
what to call it. I don't know what to call it. Okay. So last week, I woke up from an angry text from my sister, Anita Kirkendall Stoll. And I guess apparently, and I had no idea, my sister listens to this podcast.
Oh, hi, Anita.
Oh, great.
So I woke up.
Sounds like.
Yeah, I woke up to the following message, and it took me a minute to figure out what it was. So here's the message. So I woke up, and the message said, "Ceviche is fish cooked only by lemon juice. Gazpacho is cold tomato soup."
Oh.
And my response was, "Yeah, I know." And my sister said, "On your podcast, you said ceviche was cold tomato soup. Get it right." So
damn.
I'm sorry, ceviche lovers. Yeah. I messed up.
I did not know that either. I didn't think it was gazpacho, but I did think it was similar to a salsa. I did think that it involved a bunch of like diced up like peppers and tomatoes and things. So I was wrong too.
Was this in the Eric Roberts movie we just watched?
No, Sun, Sand, and a Romance. I had pointed out that on the activities board of all the different like zillions of activities they had there, that they had multiple ceviche tastings on there.
Oh yes, I do remember this.
So I guess the upside to all this is, hey, my family listens to this podcast. I had no idea.
I think my brother tried to. It's hard to get his interest in things.
What's your brother's name and what interests him?
What's his name? Is Bart.
Okay.
Bartholomew.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, he likes the same kind of stuff like that Les enjoys. He likes RuPaul's Drag Race and stuff like that.
Okay.
So you think he'd be into it, but or maybe he does. I don't know. I think he said he's like, oh yeah, I tried to listen to that.
Well,
Tough critic.
well, tough crowd.
Yeah.
Hey, look, this is the podcast game that we're in now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we are actually. Speaking of game, I felt like someone on the Game of Thrones watching this movie, like someone who didn't, how Game of Thrones will like kill you on a dime. Well, I felt like I was a cast member of Game of Thrones watching this movie.
What's disappointing is that I have never seen an episode of the highly acclaimed show Game of Thrones, yet I have seen this movie.
Oh, well, I've seen both.
Yeah.
And I read the books for Game of Thrones and read the novel for Sweet Caroline. No, I did not.
and the reason I compared myself to someone on Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones will kill you in a second. They don't care. They don't.
But they
care
have sex position. You remember the sex position? Yeah. Sex position. Sorry, I keep saying
Who was that?
Sex position. That's what they called it. Sex position on Game of Thrones. Like when they had they'd have a sex scene going on while people were like explaining, giving exposition. They called it sex position.
Well, okay, but yeah, Game of Thrones. They stab you. They get maybe a dog to eat you.
Oh yeah, it was kind of brutal. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I felt. So that's how brutal this movie was. I actually would have rather have been eaten by a dog on Game of Thrones than watch this movie.
I am going to put it in the show notes when I post this episode that anytime Kurt says sex position, you have to take a shot.
Okay.
Well, that was like an itch I had to scratch.
Yeah.
I had to get that out.
All right.
Should we get into this? Into Sweet
Let's
Carolina?
do this.
Sex position. They should have had sex position in this movie.
I'm gonna. So
Did you have a drink?
I'm gonna feel like the old. Like, remember Kurt on Game of Thrones, the old lady that like poisoned herself and then talked a bunch of shit before she poisoned. Like
That's Diana Rigg. That's Diana Rigg, who was in the Mod Squad years ago, before my time.
So I feel like Diana Rigg on Game of Thrones because basically, the poison is running out, but I'm going to talk mad shit before I die.
That's a good comparison. I like that.
Okay, here we go. So we see a waking up montage.
Right out of the gate, why was she waking up at 4:59? Like, why is her alarm going off at not 5 o'clock, but at 4:59?
Why was this movie made?
Fair.
It gives her an extra minute.
Does it give her a jump on the day?
Yeah,
I guess.
Okay.
She read it in a book somewhere, like some self-help book. Don't set your alarm for 5.
Yeah. Well, she did have a to-do
4:59.
list written on her mirror in lipstick, and I already hated her for it.
She probably saw it on like Oprah's Super Soul Sunday or something.
Or Pinterest.
Right, Pinterest. Yeah, exactly, Jason. Pinterest. So she's getting ready. She gives herself a little pep talk. You got this. And
It's showtime.
And then we find out. Then she's talking to her sister, and she's telling her sister how
Not for long.
how she's on her way to like this pitch meeting. And then she talks to her little niece, Delilah, and Delilah is like, hey, did you send me a birthday present? And so this is how I knew we were in trouble, gentlemen. This next scene is how I knew we were in trouble. And I got a sense of foreboding. First, her mother shows up in the scene, and then her father shows up in the scene, and I was like, oh, shit. Both of her parents are still alive. Mm-hmm. This is not good.
Her dad's a dick.
Right.
Her dad is a dick.
Oh, no, he's
Increasingly,
totally a dick.
Yeah.
Well, you'll see. He becomes more and more of a dick.
Yeah, there were some like genuine asshole moments from him, and I was like, nah, we shouldn't be doing that.
You dick.
By the way, did you see Lacey was an EP on this, an executive producer, as was
Lacey.
Jonathan Prince, who you might remember. He produced and directs a lot, but he was on a late 80s, early 90s syndicated sitcom called Throb. Yes.
I used to watch Throb.
Yeah. It was set at a record company. Also on the show was a pre-Frasier Jane Leaves.
Because she was blue and she would always have a story and they would go, she would always have like this big story, then she'd go, doesn't matter.
Late 80s and I missed the show?
It might have been early 90s.
With Diana
90s.
Canova.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Diana Canova was.
Yeah, it was in first run syndication.
I don't think I ever saw that one.
It was around the time that was it What a Dummy? Was that another one? Was that the one with the puppet starring Steven oh gosh, what's his name?
What a Dummy.
Gosh, I can't think of his
I remember like there was What a Country with Yakov Smirnoff.
I used
that was
to
like
watch
one
that
season.
too.
And that was a syndicated show. The Throb, I don't remember.
Because this was back when Fox was trying to be like another network. So this is around the time that like
there was a lot of new first run syndicated programming around that time to compete with the real networks. And that's when like It's a Living went into syndication and like they revived What's Happening as What's Happening Now.
Yeah, you're getting your years. What's Happening Now was like that wasn't like late 80s. What was it? It would be like 87.
No, it was later than that. It's a living.
These should be going for a couple of years too.
Oh yeah, What a Dummy. Stephen Dorff was in that one, and then what's the other one we're trying to figure out when it was on?
Was that about a ventriloquist? What a Dummy.
I don't even know. It looked like, even back then when I was young, I'm like, this looks terrible.
I missed that. Small Wonder, was that in there too? That
yeah.
Was
yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That was a very difficult show to get through.
Oh yeah.
She's a small one.
I remember that one.
Oh, What's Happening Now was 85 to 88.
Oh wow! It had a 3-year run.
Yeah.
85. What for?
2 seasons.
Throb?
No, for What's Happening Now. I'll look up Throb.
88. Okay.
Throb was probably about 3 seasons.
Yeah, for people at home who don't remember, back in the day, television didn't have it was like the second string writers, like all the best writers work for the movies and the second string work for the TV. But like a show like Cheers, like that was top flight stuff.
Yeah.
But then a show like Small Wonder, that was like the syndicated stuff. That was a.
Also, I mean, the network's kind of programmed to, like, it's very different now. Actually, it's not different now. The networks are still trying to appeal to the broadest audience possible. So they try and make it as inoffensive as possible, which is part of what Hallmark suffers from a lot. And in doing so, it dumbs the show down so much that anyone that wanted to write anything with any real weight would go and write a feature film. And now anyone that wants to write anything of weight, they'll go write a streaming show.
Right. There you go. I'm looking up the Small Wonder theme song.
Well, speaking of Cheers, I saw an old movie a couple days ago with Shelly Long, and man, she's got skills.
What movie was it?
True Beverly Hills?
It was called Don't Tell Her It's Me. And it's a movie about
with Steve Guttenberg.
You remember this? Steve Guttenberg had cancer. He's like in bad shape. She tries to hook him up with Jamie Gertz.
And he has a makeover.
Yeah. It's a huge makeover. She makes him into like a New Zealand Lobo. He becomes Lobo and he has a New Zealand accent. And she goes, there's a hair extension. She works him out. Shelley Long is his sister in the movie. And she gets him in shape. And then she hooks him she hooks him back up with Jamie Gertz. And Jamie Gertz falls in love with Lobo. And then Jamie Gertz's boyfriend is Kyle MacLachlan.
Wow.
Wow.
It should, like, for anyone that is listening to this episode of the podcast, it should tell you a lot about how much we all were bored by this Lacey Chabert movie this week, that we're like, what's a more interesting conversation? Let's talk about Arcane, Shelley Long, Steve Guttenberg movies and the TV show Throb.
This is how boring this movie was.
Yeah.
At one point, I got up and walked out of the room and started doing something and realized, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be watching this movie.
Kyle MacLachlan makes such bad career decisions. I'm surprised he wasn't in this movie.
Right.
Oh,
anyway, so let's rip
Showgirls
the Band-Aid off this.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Let's do it.
Okay. So like I said,
okay.
I got very upset because her parents were still alive, and I was kind of like Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost, Molly, you in danger, girl. So then
she's talking to white people in the room. Remember that? Ghost.
Right. So then we're at a pitch session. And Josie, aka Lacey, is doing her pitch, and the woman who she was giving the pitch to, we've seen her before.
Yeah, we have.
Wasn't she the mean boss in the one movie that wanted green juice all the time?
Yeah, I think so. She was the mean boss in some movie.
Yeah, and then we see her boss, and we've seen him before too.
Oh, he was the husband of. Oh gosh, he was the husband of somebody in another movie,
right? So then we see her. So she does a good job. So she's out to dinner with her boyfriend, and we've seen him too.
Yeah, and every time we've seen him, we've questioned his sexuality.
Yes.
Which I did again when I saw him. You know who the guy looks like that played the boyfriend? Do you know who Jordan Klepper is from The Daily Show?
No.
I've seen that guy. Yeah.
Jordan Klepper had a short-lived spin off of The Daily Show, and he's really funny because he's very good at like leaning into the fact that he comes off as an arrogant douche anyway. So he leans into it and like will ask really straight-faced questions to people that have very opposing viewpoints to him, and they walk right into the trap every time. He's really, really brilliantly funny.
So anyway, so she's talking to her boyfriend, and she has a trip planned to see her family next month. And so she invites him to go, and he says no, he doesn't want to go. And so then he tells her, because she has all these plans, and he tells her, you need to focus on what's in front of you, because one day someone's going to throw you a curveball. And then right on cue, she gets a phone call.
Before we get to the phone call, he was a dude. He was a dick too. Who was the bigger dick, her father or this guy?
Her father.
This guy's on just a different page. He's like, he's not into spending time with family, and he's like, yeah, he's just spend time with family. You know, you have your fill. He said,
but he was like throwing smack at her hometown too. He was just a dick.
New Hope, right?
Yeah.
Her father was more of a dick because her father was mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, the father was just nonstop.
Yeah. I would just give her dirty looks and stuff, too.
Yeah. So, yeah, what was the phone call, Les, that she got?
Wait, and this is a first. We've never experienced this before. It was a death on Hallmark in real time.
I see dead people.
It was wasn't it 2 deaths?
2
deaths. 2. Yeah. In real time.
I think we have seen it we have seen a death in a Hallmark movie, but not a regular Hallmark romantic fluffy movie. It was one of those Hallmark Hall of Fame movies.
Right. Well, right. Yeah, Mom called, some shit went down. Like 2 people. They got hit by a tractor trailer or something.
It was her sister and the sister's husband.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And so I thought, and so at this part, I honestly thought, oh, wow, they're doing this. Maybe there's some hope for this. Maybe this movie's going to have a turnaround now, because this is very ballsy for a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
But alas, no.
But that's not why we watch a Hallmark movie. Look, that's like watching a porn, and you tune in, and it's 2 people reading a John Grisham novel aloud. That's not what you want to see from the genre that you're watching. So watch a Hallmark movie. I don't want this nonsense.
I would be okay to use your analogy, I'd be okay watching a porn where they're reading a John Grisham novel as long as they're doing it while they're banging. Like, let's not lose sight of why they're there. And this movie lost sight of why it's there. I don't mind that they're trying to get a little bit deeper and maybe explore themes that they haven't before. Like, this could have still been part of the movie if they had actually written the romance into what's supposed to be a romantic, fluffy movie.
Because, and I agree, Jason, because this tracks, because remember when we talked to our friend Nina Weinman, and she was saying that Hallmark is like making an effort to really change it up and get current and get with the times. And so I thought, oh, wow, they're really changing it up because, you know, they're taking a risk here because this is not a normal thing. Anyway, so they're two kids. The kids are very upset, of course. So then Lacey has a flashback.
I hate to bring this up.
What?
I hate to bring this up, but isn't there a New Hope, Pennsylvania?
There is.
And isn't it like a predominant, like a gay area?
It's very gay friendly, but it's just very artsy too. Like it's not. I would assume like if you lived in Philly and you're maybe an older gay that doesn't want to live in the city, you might move to New Hope. But I don't think it's considered as closely tied to gay life as say West Hollywood would be.
Okay.
Okay. So then it's time for the funeral. And the dad's already being a dick at the funeral.
Yeah, what did he do?
He made some remarks because he was always like scowling at her and making remarks at her.
There was a lot of disdain from the dad, and from Ben, the nephew, about the fact that Lacey lives in the city.
Yeah.
And to be fair, there were points in this movie where she was also the flip side of that. She was that asshole that kept talking about how she lives in the city and how she has all these things that she's doing in the city. So it was a two-way street of douchiness.
Yeah. Well, they clearly didn't shoot it in a city. It was like, I think that's New York. Anyway.
So then we're at the funeral, and then Cooper pops up.
Cooper.
And Cooper, who was her ex-boyfriend from high school.
They went to the prom.
And yeah, they went to the prom. And yeah, we find out that Cooper has just moved back from Atlanta. And so then we go to the will reading.
We've seen Cooper before, by the way. We've seen him in multiple movies.
A million movies.
But
with Lacey, they're like a duo.
Can we talk about what the hell was going on with his hair in this movie?
I think it was a toupee.
Really?
You think somebody paid for that? Really? You think somebody was like, yes, this is the look that's going to get me laid? No way.
It was very Dracula.
It was so greasy and like weirdly long and like
some ladies like that.
Maybe
like, I think a little bit of long where it's like tussly, but it was too much product or too much oil. I don't know what it was, but it looked like he dipped his head in a fryer.
It was like long. It was like if Eddie Munster didn't cut his hair.
Yeah,
this guy's getting dragged through the mud
or washed it. And he's a good-looking guy, and we've seen him before and thought that he looked attractive. He's the guy that like always plays a contractor in a movie, but this one, it was not flattering to him.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. So then
I wanted to point out that he's a Calvinist because he says that this was because she was trying to say like, well, maybe it was my fault. Maybe I should have called before they got hit by a tractor trailer. Hello, sister. There's a tractor trailer coming. But he said, look, it's fate. It's fate. So he's a Calvinist. He believes in predestination.
Well, if the toss up was like being in this movie or that, what my vote would be. So anyway,
get hit by a truck or become a Calvinist.
Well, both. So anyway, so we're at the will reading.
Okay.
And so we're at the will reading, and guess what Josie inherits? Money? What? No. A car? No. Jewelry? No. Chyna? No. She
a treasure, but she has a
two
dig
little
for it.
bratty kids who are bratty. Like they're
Especially
bratty.
Ben.
Now,
Yes.
now, are you saying that her sister never told her that she was going to do this?
I thought that was weird too, as close as they were, that they never had this conversation. Hey, you're the godparents.
So anyway, so she inherits these two bratty kids.
Oh yeah, that.
And so she was trying to figure out what to do with the kids, and I wrote, why don't you take the kids with you to New York? You could take them to Manhattan. They could have fabulous lives. I don't know why this is so hard.
Does she have the money for that though? Send these kids to school in New York? I guess they could go to public school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I don't know if you saw when they showed Lacey in bed at her apartment, her bedroom was gigantic. Like even if it weren't a New York apartment, that would still be a very large bedroom. And then couple the fact that it's in New York, she's probably making good money.
And she's an executive, because in the beginning, like, she was pretty high up in this company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's quite a culture shock though for these kids.
Well, you know,
but I guess you gotta do what you gotta do.
Right.
Yeah.
Because and the reason I brought this up is because they were trying to come up with all of these, like her brother and her parents were trying to come up with all of these solutions, and none of them made sense.
Well, that's where dad is a dick, because he's sitting there. As soon as they say she's the legal guardian, the dad's sitting there like, oh no, not her. We'll take her. We'll take her.
Right. And then but then they're bitching about, we don't have enough room. We don't have enough room. We're going to have to turn the basement into a bedroom. And they were like acting like it was putting them out, not, oh, wow, our daughter died and her two kids need a place to live. They were more concerned because they're like, damn it, now we've got to turn the den into bedrooms. And then they thought about moving into the sister's house, but then I guess the house was too small. So it's like, just bring the kids to New York and call it a day.
First of all, I checked out because I didn't get any of that exposition from this movie, and I believe that it was all there, but I definitely checked out and did not hear any of that as I watched it. Second of all, that house was gigantic.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't hear about the sister's house. The sister's house should have had enough room. They all lived there before.
Yeah, they were like doing all these options like that. Yeah, because they were weighing out their options. And it's like, it's not that hard. Just, you know, move them to New York.
I'm curious who had heard of the sister's house, and then we can move on.
Well, I think that Lacey probably did with the kids. I feel like it's probably a package deal.
So then Josie or Lacey's like, no, I'm going to stay here. So then the next day, this is how big of an asshole she is. Mm-hmm. So she grew up in this house, right? So
I don't think so. I think this was the sister's house. Was this the house she grew up in?
I think so, because the parents were there. Because when she blew a food, because the parents were there. Yeah. The parents were there, and the brother was there. Because remember, she blew a fuse. Like, she plugged in her hair dryer, her blow dryer, and all of her stuff.
Right. Her vibrator.
And she blew a fuse. But I'm like, okay, you grew up in this house. You already knew the fuses wouldn't work
also,
if you plugged in anything.
What kind of faulty setup do you have that it can't handle a flat iron in a bathroom?
Right.
Like, it's not like she's plugging in 5 refrigerators and a microwave. Like, this is
She was plugging in like a George Foreman grill, all kinds of shit.
Oh, she was grilling in the bathroom. That's right, I forgot.
Yeah, she's grilling in there. Don't grill when you're bathing.
So then the parents were throwing more shade at her. Like, they were like openly like, we don't trust you with these kids.
They hate
like
her.
To her face.
The dad does. Oh yeah.
To her face.
Well, the dad can't stop. You know, he only has so much time in the day, so he's got to do it behind her back, to her face.
Well, the shade towards her about, her being able to take care of herself and or the kids was it didn't seem rooted in anything that made any kind of sense, because if she had this close relationship with her sister and seemingly close relationship with these kids, like, why are they even letting her around them if she's a danger to them?
And then
everybody's up her ass.
Yeah.
And then, okay, this is where her dad's the biggest dick. So she's like, well, what is your problem with me? And the dad's like, well, you know, was it her mom or her dad that was like, you've always been a go-getter? And I'm like, that is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
To be a go-getter.
I think the mom said that. And in the moment I was like, wouldn't that mean that she be the perfect one to do this?
Right.
No,
because the mom basically
she actually left and created a life for herself, and it has success.
I think the mom even said the words like, you know, you've always gone and done anything you've set your mind to. I'm like, again, that's a good quality to have if you're going to dive into something as scary as parenthood.
Right, and especially think about it. Especially if you're bringing up a little girl, and you could say, hey, you know, you could do whatever you could do whatever you put your mind to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, you people are assholes, because being a go-getter, there's nothing wrong with that.
What a tough spot for her. Like, she's got parents. There's nothing you can do that's going to make them happy.
And then and then it seems like all of her friends grew up to be successful too, because at one point they're walking down the street. They run into her friend Nate from high school. Nate's a pediatrician, which is a great career. Mm-hmm. He's a pediatrician / magician because he pulls a quarter out of her ear. And then
that was weird.
And then the only person I liked in this entire movie was Nate, the doctor's girlfriend, Shady Molly, because Molly was shady.
She was an asshole too.
Yeah.
She was an asshole.
Yeah, she was.
She was an asshole too, but at least like she was an asshole for a reason.
She thought that Lacey or Josie, whatever she is, she thought she was trying to steal Nate.
Right.
She accused her of that.
Nate did have better hair than Cooper.
Oh, and those two were surprised. Those two were also surprised that she was a guardian. They're like, you are? Like, this Lacey, she must have been out of control years ago.
Yeah, like what kind of bodies did she leave in her path as she left this city?
Right? Yeah, like was she like the good time girl in the city, or
I guess so. I mean, I have to think of somebody really, what's the word? A very problematic person who I would think, oh my God, that person has kids with them. Actually, I can think of a couple people like that.
This is, we've complained about this in other Hallmark movies, but it felt heavy-handed in a different way than this did when it's come up before, where they have a real dislike of people that live in big cities, that have access to things in big cities, and that live life at a different pace than things might be in places that aren't a big city. And here it was just the hatred for it was just on full display.
Right. Yeah. For no reason.
Yeah.
For no reason. So then we have another montage. And then they why did we go to the high school? Oh, because her niece forgot her lunch.
Yeah.
So we drive to the high school.
I think it's a middle school.
Or middle school.
We've seen that little girl too.
Yeah.
Yes. She sees Cooper. Blah 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 blah. But then later in the day, she's done something that I did recently. She was late for a pickup.
Oh.
And I've done that.
Because you were busy on Clubhouse.
No.
And you went over schedule.
Actually, no, what happened is I dropped her off at the orthodontist and I went to run an errand. And I had my phone on Do Not Disturb. And so I was running errands. And so she had been calling me and texting me. And I just happened to look down on the phone and realized, oh, shit, the phone's on Do Not Disturb. And went back and picked her up.
Aw.
And I felt
Okay.
really bad. And then I bought her a Monster, and everything was good.
A monster?
Monster Energy, I'm assuming?
Monster.
Or an
Yeah.
actual monster?
okay.
Monster.
Okay.
So I was like, I'll take you and buy you a Monster. So I bought her a Monster, and everything was
You
fine.
bought her Lady Gaga?
I thought you purchased Frankenstein for her. I thought, geez, that's ambitious. All right, technically it's Frankenstein's monster, but, you know.
But I tell you, being late for pickup is real.
Yeah.
You feel like total shit. I felt like shit.
I'm sure.
I
Everybody
was
makes
like, oh my God,
mistakes.
I was like, I'm sorry. I'm new at this. Which is true.
Wow. Okay, so you can relate to this movie.
No, I can't relate to this movie. I can relate to this part. And that's about it. Oh, okay. So then we have like a breakfast montage. A burning breakfast montage.
Yeah, she doesn't know how to make eggs and toast.
Which I'm like,
Oh, boy.
how dumb are you? And toast. Come on.
Have to make an egg.
So then her brother says he'll help her out. I'll help you out. Then the dad's being a dick again at breakfast.
Yeah, where are we? I wrote this down. I wrote notes about when he was being a dick, but now I'm trying to find him.
At breakfast, he was being a dick.
Breakfast dick. Oh, yeah. He shamed her.
Breakfast dick. I feel
What
like
happened?
That's a gay porn that I watched.
Breakfast dick.
Breakfast dick.
Yeah,
That's
like
a
he
gay
shamed her
porn?
for
I
no
don't even-
reason. He shamed her.
Oh,
Okay,
then
actually,
young Ben. Okay, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh, no, young Ben. young Ben's band is playing. He's one of the kids.
Yeah.
So he's got a band. And so but he doesn't want any of them seeing the band. Like Lacey Chabert, Josie, whatever we're calling her. She's like, oh, we're going to go see your band. He's like, no, I don't want you there. She goes, well, your parents always went. He's like, yeah, they're not around anymore. That embarrassment's over. That's it. But no, they're on the other side. They're going to go.
And Ben would always flounce out of the room crying. Like any chance he got, he would flounce out of the room.
I never heard the word
And
flounce. I'm not saying it's not a word. I'm just saying I've never heard of it before.
Well, he'd
Flounce.
how would you put it? He would
I
run out of the room.
That might be the right word.
He kind of
was
flounced. I
curious.
think flounced is the right word. It's kind
Flounced?
of it's a little bit of an awkward, broody
It is.
teen, like broody but not cool enough to be that broody teenage. Like you guys, like running out of the room like that.
I learned it. I just learned a new word. Flounce. Go or move in an exaggerating, impatient, or angry manner. That's perfect.
Oh, perfect. That's what he was.
No, flounce. I'm going to flounce.
If you're if
I
you're
wrote
still not drunk
There we
from
go.
Kurt saying sex position, then now start taking shots for flounce.
I'm on flounce now. Well,
And
I get, I
and
get
I
obsessed with things.
I
Okay.
even wrote in my notes, Ben is a drama queen.
Mm-hmm.
And then Delilah gets all up in her face too. It's like, you're not my mother.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn.
This was a lot of tension for a Hallmark movie.
Yes.
This was Lacey's, like I said, it's a big swing. She probably was sitting like in a board meeting there and saying, is there something we could do where I could be nominated for an Emmy, please? Well, I don't know, work on this one script where people are dead and screaming at you. Ooh.
So then the dad's being a dick again. And the mom's like, oh,
Again?
give her a break. She's trying. And then I wrote, the dad is bitter for some reason. Then they're at the school dance where the band is playing.
This pissed me off so much
Okay, tell
because
us, Jason.
I was infuriated, and it's a brief thing, and you guys may not have even noticed, although from Kurt's laugh, I bet he did.
I'm how mad at you are.
It's a
Okay, go
brief,
ahead.
it's a visual on the screen, but I found it offensive. Do you know what I'm
is it?
talking about, Kurt?
It has something to do with the musicians.
Has something to do with the name
band?
of the dance.
The name of the dance. No, I don't. Don't know if I know what you're talking about.
The name of the dance at this middle school gym was Enchantment Under the Sea. As in, totally ripped this off from Back to the fucking Future. How fucking dare you, Lacey? This trash movie steals one of the greatest dance, and it's like an ongoing joke in Back to the Future about the name of that movie. How dare you?
Wow.
I was offended.
Jason, this riled up.
No, I missed that. I didn't see it, but maybe I blocked because Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies.
Same
as well, and I think maybe my brain showed mercy on me and it blocked it out because that's annoying.
Yeah,
I guess the thing that annoys me is that don't do an homage to Back to the Future. You're not Back to the Future. You have to be kidding me. Well, nothing to do with Back to the Future. Why would you make a reference?
If you're gonna do it, then show credit where credit is due. Mention that a character is a big Back to the Future fan or something. But to just steal that name and have it why did it need to have a name? Why did the dance need to have a sign behind this band? Why was there a band playing at this? It was so mad.
Don't mess with Marty McFly.
No, man. But the other thing is, you ever hear a kid's band? It doesn't sound like that.
No.
So
sounds
horrible.
We're
at the dance. So we're at the dance, and Cooper's there, and Shady Molly is there.
Still good shade.
More shade.
Yeah, she's hot though.
She's throwing, and Nate is there, Shady Molly's boyfriend. And
why were they there? Did they have kids at the dance?
That's a good question. Yeah, why were they chaperones? Is Molly a teacher, maybe?
I don't know.
That was weird. I just realized that.
Well, the guy, Cooper.
Maybe maybe they figured there's not a lot of social things to do. They'll go to the high school dance and dance.
And hang out with the kids instead of going to a bar like a normal person.
I'd be excited if I was a high school boy and I saw her at the dance.
If I were the authorities in this town, I would seriously be questioning why these two people who aren't parents or teachers are at this. And one of them's a pediatrician. Why is he stalking these now preteens and and young teenagers into their school?
Right.
One of them may have mentioned at an appointment, said, "Hey, you ought to come to this dance tonight. I'm going to be at."
So then they're at the dance. They do a slow dance. We find out that Cooper won prom king when they were kids. So then the next day we're back at home.
Oh, she said he should have gone to NYU with her. You know how much it costs to go to NYU?
I don't know what it costs now, but it's a lot. Yeah,
a lot of money. Yeah.
So then the next day, she's in the kitchen talking to her dad. Her dad's being a dick again. And he's being so much of a dick that she's like, "Do you want me to leave?" And he had to think about it.
He didn't have an answer. He didn't answer.
I love that she confronted him about that. That was one of the few moments in the movie that I actually liked.
I like that he didn't even give her. He just didn't. He's like, "Do you want me to leave?" Oh, well, anyway, I'm gonna go have some eggs. He didn't have an answer for her.
And then that's the thing. It's like her only crime is that she went out and got successful. Other parents would be so happy and proud that their daughter actually left town and moved to New York, which is a hard city to become successful in, and became successful.
Sometimes parents are jealous of their children. I think more often than not, that's not the case, but I think that does happen sometimes. And that's what it seemed to be in this case. Like, oh, you left the town and got successful and you have a life. And that's kind of what they say. It's like, oh, go back to your life in New York with your boyfriend while I stay home with your mom who hasn't had sex with me since 1988.
And then,
she lost her libido after watching all those episodes of What's Happening Now.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. After What's Happening Now, after the run ended, we had sex and that was it.
And the thing is, she's not even a bitch.
I pretended she was Shirley Hempel. Okay, I'm sorry. I was still going.
You pretend she's Shirley Hempel.
Yeah, I did. But you guys cut me off. Well, you guys keep me in line.
Shirley Hempel. Dear God.
So fucked up. Back like when I was still acting, if I was going to an audition, there was like for a something comedy related, and before everything was all digital casting, and you'd still bring your physical headshots in. I would have, some of my actual headshots, but then I would have a headshot with my resume on the back, but it wasn't my headshot. It was Shirley Hempel.
No.
Oh, God.
That's what you used to do?
The casting director, yeah.
Oh,
Had a good laugh sometimes.
Oh, God.
You give them a picture of Shirley Hempel?
Yeah.
Did you ever get called in?
No, I would never do that for one I was submitting to send. I would do that in the room as like an icebreaker because they've already seen your photo. They've brought you in. So you're like past that hurdle of like you at least physically look like what they want. I was just trying to show them like, okay, I've got a sense of humor.
Oh,
right. And they're like, oh, he's funny.
That's great.
Okay. So all of a sudden, so they're getting ready for a bake sale. They're baking. It's the baking scene.
Yeah.
And so it's
they had a lot of shit too. They had they had a lot of ingredients.
Josie and the kids, and then Cooper shows up at the house too. And then
and doesn't wash his hands and starts rolling up cookie dough.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out that at one point in his life, Cooper was engaged, right?
Yeah. And she dumped him for another guy.
Yep.
It sucks.
But he said, when one door opens, another door closes. Or when one door closes, another door opens.
Such originality with the writing.
His mom said that to him.
These are leftover platitudes from Sunstand Romance.
Yeah.
So then this next part, I don't think her boyfriend was out of line. Because he calls her, and she's been gone, and he's like, so, Josie, when are you coming back? Which I think is a legitimate question.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, well, hey, let's talk about this because, it's long distance, and this may not work for me. And she was like, fine, you're dumped. And I'm like, wow.
But I got the impression her boyfriend was looking for something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I have that impression too.
Now the next one is another Tony Robbins example. She walks in, she says, we broke up. And then young Ben, he does that Tony Robbins thing where he interrupts her state. He starts throwing flour at her face.
Right.
That's what Tony Robbins does. So like when somebody walks up to him at an event and she says, my husband's cheating on me. He gets a glass of water and he throws it in her face.
Does he really?
That's what he said in like one of his his audio tapes.
Okay, that's going to get Tony Robbins sued.
Well,
do we know that it was flour? Do we know that for sure?
What, the water?
That Ben threw.
It was flour.
Well, that could have been cocaine. We don't know.
Was it Coke?
Yeah.
I
feel like this is a particularly wild set for Hallmark, and they had a long night, and everyone was just trying to stay awake.
Man, that'd be an expose. That'd be an article for Vanity Fair.
They finished filming the movie very quickly, though.
They shot the whole thing in one night.
Okay, so then Josie goes to get a bracelet fixed. And she wanted a charm for the bracelet as well.
Mr. Cox. That's the guy's name.
And so Mr. Cox, who didn't seem that he was a stranger from cock, Mr. Cox.
Jeez. Man.
Oh, well, Josie's ex-boyfriend should come visit the town.
Damn.
Allegedly.
He was very gossipy, Mr. Cox.
Mm-hmm. Who comes with Mr. Cox? All right, go ahead.
He tells Josie, well, Cooper was just in here and he bought a ring. And then she has a flashback.
Okay.
And she has a flashback. Boring. Then
Sister gets some more scenes.
Right. She gets a call from her boss. And the boss is like, guess what, Josie? We gave your accounts to someone else. And then Josie tries to get mad. And he's like, but you're not here to do your work.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Not fired.
Yeah.
But has nothing to do.
I think this is very nice of him, actually, because he's like, you're not fired, but I'm going to just put you on a leave of absence. And when you come back to the city, you can have your job back.
Yeah.
Which I think is very nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But she didn't see it that way. So then we go to the bake sale. And I have to confess, I kind of like tuned out of this part. So what happened?
Well, the dad grabs a cookie. He's still a dick.
Didn't pay for it. Asshole didn't pay for the cookie.
It's for charity.
Yeah.
It's like to raise money for like the basketball team. And he just grabs the cookie, eats it, and he's like, not bad. Well, who are you? I wish I knew a famous food critic's name so I could bring it up right now as a reference. Who are you? That person? He doesn't eat it. No, he does eat it, and he says, he's like, oh, it's not bad. And then he calls out Cooper for denting his car like 100 years ago. He doesn't let things go. He holds on to anger. Let it go.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. That's what happened in that scene. But I like bake sales, so I was excited about that.
Of course you do.
Well, right after this, Cooper gives Josie a tour of the school she attended.
Right, that she graduated from.
Yeah.
They go into the theater,
but he's like showing around like she's never been there before.
She's never been there. She was in Greece, but we don't know who she played. She said she didn't play Sandy. Maybe she played Rizzo. Maybe she played Eugene. I don't know. You could have a female Eugene. That'd be kind of cool. Eugenia.
Rizzo or Maraschino?
She could have been in the chorus.
Who's the one that is the beauty school dropout?
Oh, Frenchie.
She could be a Frenchie.
Beauty school dropout. Yeah, sure.
Frenchie.
She probably was in Greece.
She'd be like, I like being in Rydell High. Remember Frenchie's voice was really high.
Didi Khan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Didi Khan. Yep. She was in the sequel too.
And she was on Benson.
Was she?
She was on Benson?
She was on the later seasons of Benson, yeah.
I don't know. I used to watch that.
Me too. I was all about Friday night on ABC. It was Benson and Webster.
Yeah.
It was like
Benson, like Webster was stupid. Webster had serious themes. Wasn't there?
Yes.
What's his name? Flip Wilson? Who is it? No. Not Flip Wilson. Who's the guy who was on the show who played like his uncle?
They were a real life couple too.
Fresh Prince too. Ben Vereen, yeah. And he played the same role on Fresh Prince, where he was like a neglectful uncle or a neglectful father. But I think in Webster, he was like the neglectful uncle.
Yeah. Flip Wilson was on a family sitcom on CBS co-starring Gladys Knight, and one of the sons on that show went on to play Urkel.
Well, see.
Oh, Jaleel White.
Yeah, Jaleel White. Thank you. And Christophe St. John was on that show.
The late
Christophe St. John. Oh, that's right. Oh.
He was because he was on Young and the Restless. He was Neil Winters on Young and the Restless.
Wait, is that gentleman? I'm sorry, what was his name again?
Christophe St. John.
That gentleman played a role in the Cosby Show, right? Wasn't he on an episode of the Cosby Show where he played Denise's boyfriend?
I believe so. Yes.
Yes.
No, Lisa Bonet. Whoever Lisa Bonet's character was. It was Denise, right?
Denise.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So anyway,
interesting. I just watched that scene. Yeah.
So this is the twist that like made no sense, because she thinks he's going to propose to her when like they were just like they hadn't even held hands or anything.
And there was no, like I've said several times in this episode, there's no lead up to this at all. There's no hint of either one is still hung up on the other. No hint of oh, I'm starting to feel feelings for this person that I've been hanging out with a lot. Like, they didn't ever really hang out that much with each other in this movie.
No, they were like COVID distance most of the time. So she makes an asshole out of herself because she's like, I can't get married yet. And he's like, what kind of drugs are you on? Why would you think I'd ask you to marry me? Haven't even hung out with you.
And her answer is a lot of cocaine from the bake sale.
That's right. Yeah. We had a cocaine cupcake. But then they did like a Three's Company thing where they had like a misunderstanding. And I actually did laugh because he said, I don't know, there's a misunderstanding. She thought he was talking about like wives. And he said, yeah, you need one for family, one for weekend for fun. I actually did kind of laugh at that.
And actually, what he wanted to ask her is if he could borrow her father's car.
His van.
Yeah.
His van.
So do you think that Cooper is borrowing the van on behalf of Nate and Molly?
On behalf of Nate and Molly.
Because they keep showing up at like all these kids things when they're fully grown adults that shouldn't be around kids. So they're going to need a van.
Right. Oh, that's right.
To
hey,
pick up kids?
My puppy?
Oh my God, that's disturbing. I don't know you're going to go there. This is a very drug-related show. You got cocaine, right? You got Molly.
Oh, yeah.
Cooper sounds like a drug name. I should say that.
So then
I just said
we're at the basketball game, and the team wins, and this is where she is an asshole, actually.
Things get weird here.
Because Ben has a crush on this little girl. And it's like they're friends. Like, the little girl's nice to him and stuff. But at the dance that they were at, the little girl was dancing with someone else.
Ivan, yeah.
Ivan. So then...
who was he was like way bigger than the rest of the kids. Like, yes. Ivan's clearly a kid that got held back a few years.
Yeah, it was hulking. But he was kind of the same type as Ben. So Ben must have been thinking, oh, she's into Ivan, she'd be into me.
No, I wouldn't say they're the same type at all.
No? Okay.
No.
The one that like had a mustache at 14. So then Josie goes up to the little girl and was like, basically like, don't fuck my nephew over.
Yeah.
and the little girl's like, what are you talking about? And then
that little girl, yeah.
It was psycho.
Like, well, you're kind of using him.
Lacey in this scene was psycho.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like your mom doing something like that? Like, I'd be still horrified.
Because the little girl's like, he's my friend. I don't even like him that way.
The look on that girl's face. If anybody deserves an Emmy, it's that girl. She'd a look on her face like, what the fuck?
And this is like in the middle of the gym. There's people around. Ben sees this going down. Poor kid.
She's like, are you one of those aliens we're hearing about on 60 Minutes? Is that what's going on here?
and so then Ben like flounces out because he's all embarrassed. The little girl's like, I gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's like, my parents are taking me out to ice cream. I gotta go. And that is what she said.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ben is like, how dare you talk to her for me? No.
Well, he's right. She's God. These people.
No, Ben was in the right this time. So then
it's time for pizza.
So then they're at dinner, and I wrote in my notes, this family bugs me.
They eat a lot of carbs. It's pizza, toast.
Yes.
They were eating pizza. They were all eating this at this. It was a nice restaurant, but they were all eating pizza with a fork and a knife. And that was almost as offensive as Enchantment Under the Sea.
Well, that happens sometimes.
So then...
I think all the characters in the movie have very solid bowel movements. Because like I said, there's a lot of starch.
Right.
A lot of flour.
So then
Ben's really regular because all that flouncing and flour, that's a good combo right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Isn't flouncing and flour a crime drama on TNT?
Right.
It will be.
with Rizzoli and Isles.
Yeah.
After we sell it to them.
So she gives Delilah her charm bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
And then who was
he says it's
crying in
lame.
front of the restaurant?
Ben says the charm bracelet's lame. I think Delilah gets upset too, and she runs off.
I think Delilah starts crying because I don't know if they actually said it, but I think that it basically is because it was the mom's bracelet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
It
Ben
ruined everybody's good time.
And then Ben
Right.
chews out Josie for like talking to the girl that he was into at the school.
And then someone was like, go back to the city.
That was Ben. Ben said that.
Yeah. So then
He's had it.
So then she's crying, and then Cooper started talking to her, and Cooper's like, these kids need a parent. You'd be a good parent. And then Josie's like, you know what? I should just take my happy ass back to New York.
Yeah, his words don't work.
So then
How can
she's
you
looking
take him
at pictures
seriously
and she
with
has
that
another
greasy
flashback.
hair.
She has another flashback. Then she gets a phone call because Nate sees the lights on in her family's restaurant. So then she goes to the restaurant and, okay, get ready because this is just a plot twist. Her brother is a secret baker. Not a drug problem, not a sex addict, a baker.
Well, he might be a sex addict.
And he might have a drug problem, all that coke they're doing on the set of the movie, allegedly.
That's right.
This plot twist or plot point was wholly unnecessary and did nothing to move the movie along. It would have been more necessary if it had been laid out early in the movie so that they could go back to it and use it as a way of tying things up at the end of the movie. They threw it in at the end as an afterthought, as a way of justifying some of the stupid shit we just watched.
I thought it was kind of, I don't know. I found it a little charming that a guy was baking things on the side.
I have no problem with that he was baking on the side. I have a problem that they introduced this in like the last 20 minutes of the movie as if it was like so important that we should have known about it all along.
Yeah. Well, there was a scene like at the bake sale. He came in with something, and the father kind of shamed him just in case he made it. He's like, "Oh, you're not a good baker. You should be doing stuff with the computers." And that's one of the reasons he's doing this secretively, because his dad doesn't approve, even though he's like 40 years old.
But he and I wrote here, he comes out of the closet as a baker, and he sells his baked goods at farmers markets.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's another thing. I think that'd be fun to do. I think it'd be fun to sell sweets at farmers markets. So I was kind of watching that. Oh, that'd be kind of neat. Anyway.
So then we get word that Ben flounced away. He's flounced away.
Oh yeah,
But was there sex position?
He ditched school.
He's running.
Oh
but then
yeah.
they find him. Right. But then they find him playing the guitar
at Cooper's barn.
Yes. And
How did he get
then
there?
he flounced.
Was it with he flounced? Was it within flouncing distance?
I think so.
All right.
Not a big
So
town.
then Lacey starts yelling at him, and he's like, "You sound like my mom."
Dead?
And yeah, that's what he said. So you sound like my mom.
Just what are you talking about? She's dead. Oh, I know what you mean. Oh.
Right. So then we find out why the dad was a dick to her.
Well, wait, before we even find that out, what was with her cutting her hand? Like, what? I didn't understand why that happened, why that beat needed to be in the movie. Because they're in the barn,
either.
Lacey's talking to him, and all of a sudden, it's like this really like tender scene between her and Ben, and then all of a sudden he looks down and like breaks the tension. He's like, "Oh, your hand is bleeding," and we find out it's a rusty nail. It's never mentioned again. It's never addressed as to why that we needed to see her hand bleeding.
It was their way of of getting out of one scene and getting into another. She's bleeding, so that scene ends. You're bleeding, that scene ends. And then now she's outside the urgent care. She walks out. Her dad's there to pick her up, and
you want to get out of a scene, light the barn on fire.
See, if we were on Lifetime, she would have had gangrene. You know, her arm would have swollen up.
The horse
or Eric Roberts would like go to heal her and like chain her to a bed.
If this were Lifetime, when she were talking to that girl that Ben liked, she like the next scene we would have seen that girl, the little girl's neck snapped and like Lacey putting on a black hoodie.
Damn.
Right, exactly. Or she'd be yelling at the girl, and then Vivica A. Fox would walk up and go, "Excuse me, why are you yelling at her? You mess with the wrong little girl." Oh, so then basically her dad says that he was a dick to her because he missed her, right?
Mm-hmm. He resents her moving away.
Well, it's like, well, F you. So you want me to stay in this little town and basically waste my life away? Like you?
Oh, boy.
So then I was very disappointed because then Lacey caves into everybody's pressure and decides to dumb herself down and stay. And then
I don't think she was caving to because they were all telling her she couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Right.
She was going against the grain.
Yeah. I feel like if anything, she dug in her heels. She's like, fuck you. I've got this big house now. Suck it, bitches.
Yeah.
So then we have a montage of her like adulting.
Yeah.
I got a wine cellar in this house, motherfuckers. I got to be sucking on liquor all night.
It was an indie rock like photo montage.
Yeah, she's like adulting and she's doing very well.
Oh yeah, all of a sudden she's got her shit together. She's cooking. She knows how to make eggs, toast. It's really something.
It's like Lacey. All you had to do was go on YouTube. They teach you how to cook.
Mm-hmm. She straightened out her dad and Jeff, her brother. They're in business together.
Right, and then Delilah lost her lunch. Like she forgot her lunch, and Lacey brought her lunch, and Cooper saw her and asked her out on a date. The end. They
kiss. It was an awkward kiss. It was a weird kiss. It's like they kiss and they kind of like were like moving away from each other.
Again, it was like, why did they kiss? Why did that romance didn't belong in that movie? And if it did, they needed to write it into the movie because it wasn't written into the movie.
I think, that Lacey's character might be in trouble. I mean, it ends with her having her shit together. I think she just may be having a good day, and there's trouble ahead.
Oh, possibly. But right. I also I've mentioned on this podcast before that a lot of these ones where the hapless person like has to take on parenting duties. It basically every one of those movies is Baby Boom, and in that kind of movie, the person that's hapless eventually gets past being hapless because they start to figure out how to make an omelet.
Right. Or make applesauce. That's what happened in Country Baby applesauce.
Yeah.
Anywho. That was an hour and a half that I will never get back. Mm-hmm.
If you did, though, what would you do with that hour and a half?
I don't know, but if you want to give me my hour and a half back, you can email me on Facebook at Kirkendall Barrett Presents, or you can find me on Instagram at Kirkendall, or you can find me on my website, leskirkendallbarrett.com. Jason.
If you, the audience, get that hour and a half back, you could take that time to leave a 5-star review for us on whatever podcasting platform you listen to us on, or to maybe go like us on Instagram. We are Lifetime of Hallmark Podcast. If you're looking for me on social, I am on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Big Shot Jason. Kurt.
You can spend your hour and a half watching my unpublished TV pilot, Campus Martius, that's online somewhere, and to spend the other hour having a nice long lunch. But my website is kurtfitzpatrick.com. It's Kurt with a K.
And if you're on Clubhouse, the lifetime of Hallmark Clubhouse Club has been set up.
Yay!
So
we go there
now have a club on Clubhouse.
Oh, we're gonna find that.
And I am going to be taught over the weekend how to podcast on Clubhouse. So we'll be able to do that too.
Great.
And
yeah, I'm excited about being able to do that. And I think that now all three of us are on Clubhouse. I think we can make that happen maybe even next week.
Ooh. Yes.
Yeah.
We'll
discuss off the air.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. And until next time, bye.
Bye.
Bye.